Pre-qualify today at tupelohomecenter.com.
Rain, humidity, wind, and storms can take a toll on your home. When they do, trust the team at Absolute Restoration for roofing, water damage, and mold remediation. 662-760-4348.
Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 6.
Well, good evening and welcome to Mississippi Live Weather at 6. I'm meteorologist Caleb Edelblut here to let you know what to expect as we get ready for the work week, because unfortunately it is Sunday evening, which means our Monday morning is right around the corner. Let's take a look at our headlines. Rumbles of thunder heard for a few, and you few kind of know exactly why. That's some storms moving on in while most of us continue to stay dry, dealing with these muggy conditions. But speaking of those sticky conditions, they're going to continue to worsen as we get ready for our Monday. Few of us in heat advisories, few more of us will reach warnings, and all of us will be under those advisories starting tomorrow. And Tropical Depression 2 has formed. That's been the disturbance that we've been monitoring a lot lately here at Mississippi Live. And we actually have our chief meteorologist, Matt Laubon, down on the coast right now. Let's take a look at what he has to say.
Appreciate that, Caleb. We're down here near Apalachicola, Florida. About 70 miles that direction is the center of Tropical Depression 2. Now, this is expected to strengthen to tropical storm strength, would become Bertha. That likely to happen overnight. At this point, winds sitting about 30 to 40 miles per hour, close to that. We've had gusts actually here where we're at on St. George Island up in excess of 30 miles per hour over the course of the afternoon, just at a reporting station just down the beach there. The wind has been consistent. You can see the surf is high. About the only place here along the Gulf Coast where there are actually advisories in place, expectations for storm surge could actually be on St. George Island, where we're at. Expectation possibly as high as 1 to 3 feet in comparison to where some of these buildings are here. Again, that's not extreme. And I think that's one of the important notes with this. Even if this becomes Bertha, and we do expect a track of it, we'll take it back toward the north and west and eventually closer to the Mississippi Gulf Coast. This is unlikely to become a high-end tropical disturbance. Even on kind of most aggressive projections, they don't quite get it to hurricane strength. In saying that, it's going to possibly impact some beach trips, but not a complete washout in that regard. So, Caleb, we'll certainly continue to monitor this, and you can look in the Mississippi Live app to track the very latest on where this storm is going. But coming to you from St. George Island here in Florida, tracking Tropical Depression 2, what eventually will probably become Tropical Storm Bertha. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Laubon from Mississippi Live.
Well, a big thanks to our chief for giving us that live report down there along the coastline. Hope y'all continue to enjoy y'all's vacation and, of course, stay safe. But back here in North Mississippi, I mean, we're dealing with these hot, sticky, and muggy conditions. Now, what you're looking at right now is technically not in place. This is giving us a heads up for what will continue into your Monday and into your Tuesday. Heat advisories are only in place for the Delta right now, but y'all will be extended into a warning starting tomorrow. That will continue till your Tuesday evening, and then the rest of us will start to be under these advisories heading into your Monday. So no matter where you are here in North Mississippi, you are included. Thankfully, it stops right at the Alabama border. So Franklin, Marion, Lamar, and Pickens not quite included, but you guys are dealing with some of those stormy conditions ongoing right now and into the rest of the evening. Let's start off out here in Amory. 84 degrees, feels like 97. Take a look at some of that wind. 14 miles per hour coming out of the east. We're seeing these storms continue to blow on in, shake the tower just a little bit, and a few of us finding some of this rain-cooled relief to help us feel a lot better as we continue into our evening and eventually overnight period. Another great shot was out here in Caledonia. These clouds continue to move on through. You can see some of those storms kind of around the area out here towards Monroe, Lowndes County, even towards Lamar for Alabama. 90 degrees, feels like 99. And this is why those rain chances are very important to us and why we always want to know, because it will help us feel a lot better if we're fortunate enough to see them. But if we're not, like for you guys out here in West Point and looking out west across the rest of our viewing area, we've dealt with sunny skies continuously all day today. 90 degrees, feels like 99. Starting to see some of those darker clouds roll on in, providing some meaningful and helpful shade. But again, heat continues to be the main story because rain chances only affecting a few of us. And we see just what I mean here on the first 12. 20% coverage by 7 o'clock, temperatures in the upper 80s. Slowly cooling off towards the upper 70s by 1. Still dealing with those partly cloudy skies as we yet again return to drier periods for your overnight time ahead. And then mid-70s by 4 o'clock, waking up with those mostly sunny skies. Again, going to be a beautiful start to your Monday morning, but still going to be a toasty one. Now, taking a look at your Mama Justice Doppler radar, most of us continue to stay dry. What we were talking about a lot yesterday on if we were to see those rain chances, it's for those pretty much along Highway 45 and further out east. And we're starting to see those start to push closer and closer towards the Highway 45 corridor, moving in from Alabama. There have been a few severe thunderstorm warnings further out east for Alabama, I think even into Tennessee. Thankfully, we have not seen that so far today, hoping to keep it that way, but a few of these could pack a punch with some of those hefty winds. We can even zoom in on some of these right here, just so y'all can get a good visual on everything occurring out there towards Boonville, affecting you guys out there in Red Bay. Amory, we were looking at that camera earlier with some of those darker clouds, and you can kind of see these thin lines continuing to kind of propagate outward. Those are those gust fronts, those outflow boundaries, and why you can probably feel a gust of wind right before the storm gets to you. So if we continue to see these move on through our area, they could provide just enough lift for some more showers to occur, and that's why we still have them in the forecast throughout the next few hours. But thankfully, again, not really talking about anything meaningful or impactful. Now, taking a look at our surface analysis, we finally see that big L down there in the Gulf, and that's due to tropical disturbance number 2, or depression, excuse me. We're definitely past the disturbance point, but that's going to continue to strengthen. And last time we checked, I think it was actually downgraded to just stationary. It was moving only around 1 miles per hour, so it's feeding on just those warm, humid, moist conditions down there in the Gulf. That provides its fuel, and the slower it moves, the more time it has to build on up. And that's what our chief was saying, that we do expect this to kind of continue strengthening, making its way closer towards the Mississippi Gulf Coast or even towards Louisiana. But thankfully, a high-end hurricane, not really in the forecast at this moment. A lot is going to have to change between now and then. But of course, we'll keep you updated on that throughout the next few days ahead. Take a look at Futurecast. We're still dealing with this cold front, which again, not really allowing any of us to feel cold, but it is bringing the chance for a few showers and thunderstorms for a select few. Most of us continue to stay dry. It's for those further on east in our viewing area that are dealing with some of those showers and thunderstorms. That's going to continue throughout the next few hours, even as we lead up towards the 9 and 10 o'clock broadcasts. But like we're used to, the dry overnight period is in store for us yet again as we get ready. And you can already tell that symbol started to shift just a little bit, so a little bit more confidence on this becoming a tropical storm, maybe even by the 10 o'clock broadcast. So make sure to tune in throughout the rest of the night. We're going to continue giving you constant updates on that depression or tropical depression out there, and make sure you have the very latest as we get ready for the work week ahead. So confidence, it continues to grow. It'll be fun to watch how it continues to change. Now, taking a look at the next 24, a few of us going to deal with some fog as we're walking out the door. That'll be for you guys getting some of those showers and thunderstorms today. Just moisten up the ground just a little bit more. Mid-70s by 6 o'clock, working our way up towards the low 90s already by 12. Mid to upper 90s tomorrow afternoon. And yes, we're still dealing with a few showers, but notice, most of us will have to deal with these partly cloudy skies above. Going to be toasty, it's going to be muggy, and we're going to feel significantly warmer than what those temperatures are outdoors. So we'll make sure to give you the best preparation and everything you need to know. Keep that water bottle handy throughout the next few days. Heat is very dangerous, and it's definitely going to affect us here in our viewing area. So coming up in the next 60 seconds, we're going to break down those rain changes, how hot it's going to get for your Monday, heading into your Tuesday, and when relief is on the way. All that's coming up in the next minute. Let me click this back. Let's see if the pedal will work.
Every legend starts somewhere.
Not with perfection, but with a decision.
The decision to show up, work harder, and believe this place can change everything.
At Northeast, you're more than just a number.
We're built on opportunity, and our students are willing to rise to the occasion.
Here, success isn't handed to you. It's earned.
You don't just leave with a degree, you leave as a legend.
It's happening right now. No sales tax at Room to Room Furniture in Tupelo.
Wait, no tax?
No tax?
No tax. No sales tax.
Did we mention no sales tax? It's happening at Room to Room Tupelo.
Boys and Girls Club of North Mississippi presents Dance Like the Stars 2026, Saturday, August 8th at the Huntington Bank Arena. Floor seating is $50 and general admission seating is $20. All proceeds benefit the Boys and Girls Clubs of North Mississippi. For more information, visit bgcnms.org.
Right now, from the Mississippi Live Weather Center, here's meteorologist Caleb Edelblut.
Well, thanks for sticking here with us for Mississippi Live at 6. Extremely honored with the comments sent in by Sonia. Really appreciate that. Glad you are tuning in. And hello to you as well, Mary, for tuning in to our broadcast at 6. And it looks like my uncle is even tuning in saying no storms for the island, please. Hopefully we can get those to continue moving on through. But y'all always know I love starting off this part of the broadcast with some Weather Watchers pictures. This was sent in by Candace out there in New Albany, and this perfectly describes the story that we're talking about with these rain chances. Yes, all of us have the chance to see a brief heavy downpour. Take a look at how small it is on the larger scale. I mean, we're just talking about a heavy downpour, but blue skies to the left, and partly cloudy skies to the right with drier conditions. So a few of us are lucky enough to find some of this rain-cooled relief, but most of us are dealing with these dry and toasty ones. But again, another phenomenal picture of the shelf cloud continuing to move through Alabama. This was in Scottsville, sent in by Corey, and you can definitely tell some of these storms being on the stronger side, trying to provide a few meaningful impacts, but thankfully we're not talking about anything like that here in Mississippi. We have seen a few warnings further out east, but I hope Corey out there in Scottsville is doing good and those power outages aren't as aggressive, and we'll make sure to continue tracking those out. Out here in Hamilton, Alabama, Blake sent in another phenomenal picture of kind of a similar looking shelf cloud as these continue pushing on in, and some of these do try to have a little bit of hail. You can kind of see a faint glow out there with that green mixed in with the clouds, so we'll make sure to continue tracking those out, and we can take a look at that right here before we continue on in the broadcast, especially now that I'm at the monitor. Thankfully, as we take a look at this, most of us are continuing to stay dry, and I say thankfully, that's just because we don't want to deal with any severe weather, but I know most of us want to see some of these storms to help cool us off. And you can kind of see this faint line. That's that gust front, that outflow boundary, and that's the direction these storms are going to continue to kind of move throughout the next few hours, and that will provide kind of a mini cold front, just enough lift to maybe see a few showers or storms form ahead of it. And we're talking about 1,186 strikes. So that just went up even while I was talking about it, meaning these storms are fairly healthy and continuing to move on into North Mississippi. But if we were to zoom in on these storms and we kind of associate and look at the threats that they're bringing, I'll move this up so that way y'all can kind of see all of it. It's kind of going over the radar site right now, so not having the best visual on that. But if we take a look at our threats with our Columbus radar, again, we're talking about a whole lot of green, which is always best case scenario. That's just a lot of heavy rainfall making its way to North Mississippi. But we are starting to talk about a little light shade of pink and purple making its way in, and that is the hail threat. But thankfully, if we were talking about increased confidence or anything severe, meaningful, impactful, we'd be talking about these darker shades of purple. And we did see that a little bit on earlier throughout the day. Not seeing that right now, at least at 6:12 here on your Sunday evening. So that continues to be a positive. And we can take a look at our hail track sponsored by True Shield Roofing. And this is also a very good thing to see. Typically, we'd see kind of, we can zoom in, that way you guys know what I'm talking about. You see kind of how we're seeing some of those pinks and purples pop up. If we kind of see a long track of that, we would kind of see, I keep saying the word see, it's bothering me, quite a bit of hail fall from these storms. So you guys out there in Smithville and getting closer towards Flynn, that storm may have dumped out some hail, maybe pea to dime size, but thankfully we're not talking about anything meeting that 1 inch in criteria, classifying it as severe. So it's not impossible to see some of those hailstones, which of course I'll keep my eyes on our pictures that you guys can send into the Mississippi Live Weather app. Make sure to do so safe. We don't want you going out there and trying to find it, wait for it to move on through. But again, the threats, hail threat, that continues to stay pretty minimal, and thankfully we're not dealing with anything too severe at this moment. So we'll continue to keep updated on that radar, but let's continue on in the broadcast so I can get you ready for the rest of your Sunday evening, and of course that Monday morning coming around. Oh boy, looks like our meteorologist Gabe Mainer's in the house. I already know the Mainer house is staying dry despite the storms trying to move our way. He has been praying for some rainfall to help the garden, so hopefully you guys out there can get some. Let's take a look at our evening planner. You still have a chance to get a few rumbles even by 8 o'clock as we're talking about temperatures in the mid 80s, cooling off towards the upper 70s by 11, and still pretty much the mid to upper 70s overnight yet again with those partly cloudy skies. Now those heat indices right now, I mean, continues to be very impressive in the bad way, which is how toasty and muggy we get. You can also tell where we're starting to see some of those rain chances. Big difference between 108 and Clarksdale, moving out east, 78 in Hamilton. So this rain brings its benefits. You do have to deal with maybe an occasional lightning strike to cause some power outages or some gusty winds, but thankfully, we're starting to feel a lot better if we were to see them, and helps cool us off. So we'll continue breaking down those rain chances for you, but again, most of us will continue to stay hot and toasty as we wrap up our weekend, especially heading into the work week ahead. So Futurecast still doing really well on depicting those storms on the far eastern side along Highway 45. This is at 6:30, and they'll continue kind of following those gust fronts that we were talking about throughout the next little bit. And we're still talking about some heavy showers for the Golden Triangle region between 9 to 10 o'clock, so could still be tracking out a few storms later on this evening, so make sure to tune into those broadcasts. But again, for North Mississippi coverage, still very minimal. Most of us not really enjoying or getting to experience these showers, and they'll move on pretty much midnight and on into the rest of your evening. We're returning back to those dry, partly cloudy conditions, especially as we're waking up. Maybe a rogue shower here or there, maybe just north of Aliceville, getting closer towards Oxford. But as a majority, it's going to be a dry and partly cloudy start to the work week ahead. But those low temperatures, again, what we're all going to deal with, starting off pretty mild in the mid-70s, a little bit lower further out east. That rain still allowing you guys to kind of cool off a little bit quicker than the rest of us, but still a fantastic start to your Monday morning. And it'll definitely be a toasty finish as we go about the day. So let's get ready for your Monday. We're starting off around 6 o'clock. That cold front continues to grace on by North Mississippi, taking off those rain chances. Again, dry conditions are going to be very prominent here in North Mississippi as we go about the day ahead. And as we get ready for our mid-morning hours, getting closer towards lunchtime, we're still not talking about rain just quite yet. That moisture will build up in cloud cover as we go about the day, a little bit more prominent the further north you go as compared to sunnier skies further on south, especially for you guys in Greenville and Hollandale. Just going to be an extremely muggy and sticky day ahead. But as we get ready for the afternoon hours, we still have the chance to see some rain chances. Again, very minimal, very isolated, but not off the table. And that's going to continue to be the story. Heat is more important in my opinion, just because that's something all of us will deal with. You don't really see it coming like a storm, and it's just, you have to deal with it all day and be very safe. But a few of us could find some rain-cooled relief as we go about our Monday afternoon and into the evening hours. A few rumbles of thunder, not out of the question, but anything severe, thankfully that continues to not really be on the table at this point, and we'll update you if that changes throughout the evening ahead. Now those high temperatures, take a look. We're still talking about mid to upper 90s. And this was another thing that we're talking about. Triple digits not out of the question for a few of us. 100 out there in Greenville. I would envision maybe triple digits even for your Tuesday as we go into the work week. So we're already starting off high, which means it doesn't take that much to even feel significantly warmer. And this is why we have those extreme heat warnings issued for the Delta as you go throughout your Monday tomorrow. It's just advisories today. It increases to a warning tomorrow. So still very muggy and toasty conditions as you go about the day. And that's for everybody here in North Mississippi. So no matter where you are either under that advisory or that extreme heat warning as you go about your Monday. And most of those continue into your Tuesday, which means it's still going to be a fantastic day to enjoy out at the pool if you have a way to cool off and spend your time outdoors wisely. We're starting off in the low 80s by 8 o'clock, low 90s by noon, mid to upper 90s tomorrow afternoon. And we're still dealing with a few rumbles, but again, most of us will continue to stay dry. Don't want to bank on those rain chances. Want to make sure to stay safe in the process as we deal with this dangerous heat. Now, strike model, of course, still giving us some chances of rainfall for your Monday evening. I still think we have a chance to see some of this as we go about our Monday, but I'm expecting drier conditions as we get ready for our Tuesday. We're already returning back to dry conditions by 10 o'clock tomorrow night with those partly cloudy skies. Then we're transitioning to pretty much clear skies. Moisture struggling here in North Mississippi. We're going to be another fantastic start to the workday on your Tuesday at 8. As we continue throughout the morning hours, even towards lunchtime, still not talking about those rain chances. But one thing you're going to notice with this model a lot, it's always giving us these tiny circles pretty much just everywhere here in North Mississippi. And we're going to see that continue throughout the afternoon hours and even towards your evening, just these kind of splotchy green circles. Everybody here in North Mississippi has a chance. We're humid, we're muggy, it's an unstable air mass. I still just think it's going to be a very dry day. Heat continues to be way more important than these rain chances that most of us aren't going to get as we go about our Tuesday, but still it will provide just a little bit of relief for a few of us. Even by Tuesday evening, I'm still expecting mostly dry conditions as we go about the day, and that's going to continue into the overnight period, go figure, as we get ready for our Wednesday morning and already talking about hump day. But you can take a look at that southerly wind. That's what's making us feel just really just muggy and sticky as we go about the week, but you can kind of see it in the top left corner of your screen, which I'm now covering up. What we do have in store is this cold front. That's going to bring us our relief. You can see behind it, I'll zoom out just a little bit more, some of that northerly wind blowing behind it. So that's going to kind of wipe out our dew points, that mugginess. And going into Thursday, especially our Friday, we're going to feel a lot better as we wrap up the work week and get ready for next weekend. So I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it's always nice to kind of have a day to kind of aim for to get us through the work week. Now, take a look at your high temperatures on your Tuesday. This will be the hottest part of the work week. Greenville now up to 101, 99 in Belzona and Greenwood, mid to upper 90s everywhere else. And those feels like values reaching triple digits easily, honestly reaching 105 or more pretty easily as well. So water bottle, it's a necessity as we go about the work week, and frequent breaks indoors in the AC, that will also be a job that we all need to do. Now take a look at your 7-day forecast. I would say rain chances a little bit more prominent on your Monday compared to your Tuesday. We're warming up from the mid to upper 90s for your Tuesday. That will be the hottest part of the work week. Relief in store for our Wednesday. Now not really going to take effect on us as we go about the day, as that cold front will take a while to slowly move on through. So it's Thursday morning when we wake up. We're going from the upper 70s to honestly almost low 70s, especially into your Friday. Low 90s in the forecast, and finally feeling a lot closer to those temperatures. And as always, looking ahead towards next weekend, we're talking about those rain chances being slightly more prominent. We still have a weeks to go until we see those verify, but honestly at this point, I think all of us wouldn't mind if we were to see just a few showers move on through, water the garden like our meteorologist Gabe Maynard wants, or just bring some relief to these excruciatingly high temperatures. Now, coming up in the next 60 seconds, our chief already talked about it a little bit with that tropical depression 2 out there in the Gulf. We're going to take a look at all the models and see that trend on where it could head and all the ingredients that are in place. We can also see how the relief will shape with that depression and what all's in store across the country that will affect us here in North Mississippi. All that's coming up in the next 60 seconds.
Hi, I'm Mississippi Live Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon. Reserve your St. Jude Dream Home giveaway ticket by July 31st, and you'll be eligible to win the house and the early bird prize, a $10,000 gift card to Brooks Grocery. Visit dreamhome.org to reserve your ticket for $100 and help St. Jude Children's Research Hospital continue its life-saving work. Then watch Mississippi Live on October 29th to see who wins the house and the other prizes. Reserve your ticket today.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Welcome to the next generation of local news, Mississippi Live. Where you are, when you want it, we're focused on you because local matters. We are Mississippi Live.
Well, let's take a look at Tropical Depression 2. This is that system that Matt was talking about earlier at the top of our broadcast. Now, it's sitting out there in the Gulf, and last update, like we mentioned earlier, I think it's pretty much stationary. So it's just baking out there with those warm temperatures. But we're going to take a look at those spaghetti plots. These are all the different models that run to kind of try to guess, estimate, determine all the atmospheric conditions in place for this to continue kind of moving. And as you can tell, you always like to follow kind of where most of those models continue to agree. So of course, you always have your outliers that are going to continue to spread everywhere, but that typical northwestward direction, that's what we're pretty confident on this depression, continuing to sit out there with those warmer temperatures and potentially reach tropical storm status, maybe even by tonight, this evening, or into tomorrow morning. It just has the ingredients in store. But as we continue throughout the rest of the work week, now we're at Wednesday afternoon. I mean, take a look at how these models continue to spread on out, but it's still very confident making that northwestward track, kind of gracing by the Alabama west coast, Florida panhandle, getting closer towards Mississippi and New Orleans, kind of the Louisiana coast. And this is an area that they are going to continue to take a special look at throughout the next few days, kind of preparing for a potential landfall of a named storm. Thankfully, we're not quite there just yet, but confidence to reach named storm and become Bertha, I believe, second one of the season, or second named storm. That continues to grow with each passing day. But it's always fun watching these continue to fan on out, because the longer you go out, they just continue to guess and go crazy. You can see one of those models shoot over there and just make a dart across the country. So not exactly envisioning that by any means, but it's always fun to see those kind of continue to move on through. And this is exactly why they're called spaghetti plots, because it kind of looks like a bunch of spaghetti noodles after they do all of their calculations. But taking a look at those water temperatures, this is what I'm talking about with how important it is for the storm and the confidence to continue increasing, because waters down there in the Gulf, they're definitely warm for this time of year, and they're going to continue increasing as we reach peak hurricane season. Taking a special look closer towards the Gulf, you can see the stream, or the Gulf Stream off the East Coast before I zoomed in, but take a look at those warm waters, and this is practically where that disturbance is right now. So this is the fuel. We always talk about kind of lightning always showing almost the health or the battery of thunderstorms. Well, the constant fuel for hurricanes or tropical storms, depressions, any of that nature is those warm ocean waters, and also moisture. We don't want dry air for those hurricanes, or technically we do want dry air to kind of help limit the kind of progression or intensity of a storm out there. And as of right now, we're not talking about dry air whatsoever. Very moist conditions out there, and you can kind of see those darker and lighter greens starting to collide. We're not talking about any light shades of brown making its way. So not really talking about dry air to slow the intensification. And we can even use a model to see how that looks throughout the next little bit, even by Monday evening. So tomorrow evening, we're already talking about just continuing to strengthen. You can see that counterclockwise spin as it continues to move slowly further up northwest along the Florida Panhandle. This is Monday evening. And as we continue throughout the rest of the start of the work week, by Tuesday evening, we're still talking about these muggy conditions, very moist here in North Mississippi as it continues to make its way towards the Louisiana coastline, even towards the Mississippi coastline. That's Tuesday evening. So still have a ways to go to see if this makes landfall as a named storm. But also for us here in North Mississippi, this is that cold front we were just breaking down for your Tuesday evening. This is the relief that is slowly going to also make its way here to provide more of an impact on us. You can take a look at that here if you are excited to see that, or also what that disturbance continues to do further on south. But take a look at that line as it continues to push further and further. If you want to know what dry air kind of looks like, it's that browner color showing that not really as moist or humid. And of course, further north, that's to be expected. But that's the relief that we're really excited for come Wednesday afternoon, heading into your Thursday. This is going to drive out those dew points, those muggy conditions to where, yeah, we're still in the low 90s. I mean, it's July here in Mississippi, but we're actually going to feel like we're in the low 90s and not feel dramatically warmer. So that is already a good sign to see for your Wednesday afternoon. And playing this out throughout the rest towards Thursday overnight, we're still seeing those moist conditions as the storms continue to sit down there in the Gulf and kind of start to almost lose its organization. We're not seeing that same spin as we were quite as prominent tonight, throughout the evening into tomorrow. And we're starting to see kind of those drier conditions make their way closer and closer towards North Mississippi. That's Thursday early on overnight, and enjoying that for a little bit before, well, you guessed it, starts to build back up already. Perfect in time for the weekend. That's Friday at 7. So that gives you kind of a look at what the disturbance could continue to shape up to be throughout the next 12 to 48 hours. But also that much needed relief and kind of timing that out throughout the week. That's going to be a big story as we get ready for the muggy start to the work week ahead. Now, of course, if you want to stay updated with us here at Mississippi Live Weather, you can do so by downloading the Mississippi Live Weather app. Scan the QR codes here on your screen, iOS and Android. And before we wrap this up, let me actually clear that off. Let's take a look at radar as those storms continue to press into North Mississippi, and we'll make sure everything's still behaving here. So we'll go back towards reflectivity and we'll zoom back out. So already a little bit less impressive than what we were talking about towards the start. And most of the energy, kind of those lightning strikes, not as prominent for those storms out there towards Monroe County. We can take a look closer towards Tishomingo, Prentice, the northern portions of Itawamba. You guys still dealing with a few of those showers and storms right now. But again, we're not talking about anything severe at this moment. And honestly, we shouldn't throughout the rest of the evening. It's been a good sign that we're not seeing that kind of push its way into North Mississippi. Let's see if we can use some of our cameras up there. I think our Itawamba camera is an MDOT. We'll see if, yeah. So we can talk about some of those darker clouds out there in the distance. Road conditions, not too bad. Everybody's still making their way towards their Sunday evening plans. So not really seeing a downfall here where our camera's at, but we can go up north towards Iuka, where you guys were getting some of those showers earlier, and continuing to get that right now. Take a look at those raindrops. Again, we're not really talking about anything too energetic, and I don't remember which way this one's facing. If I had to guess, it's probably facing more north, northeast, because we're talking about those sunnier and clearer skies, or northwest, excuse me. But those showers continue to stay just a little bit further south for the rest of Tishomingo County and south of Iuka. But again, some showers allowing you guys to feel a little bit better. We'd like to see it affect the camera site a little bit more. 91 still feeling like 111, but got to wait a little bit longer for that rain to start having a better effect. And we can go down here to Tupelo. We can talk about those darker clouds. 93 degrees feels like 102. Kind of see some of that heavier rainfall down here on the bottom left of your corner. You can kind of see some of that green line. So gusty conditions already blowing on through here in Lee County. So if you feel a gust of wind, that's because those storms are kind of nearby. That's that gust front continuing to move on through. But thankfully, again, we're not talking about anything severe. So a few of us getting that much needed rainfall, but most of us, as you can see here, continuing to bake in these hot, humid, and sticky conditions. But like we mentioned earlier, we're going to be live later on tonight at 9 and 10, continuing to break down those rain chances as we get ready for our Monday morning. But more importantly, I cannot stress this enough, heat continues to be the most important part of this broadcast. It's something that is very dangerous. It's something that you don't really see coming. It doesn't stand out like a storm cloud or flashes of light.